I promise the metronome is not as scary or bad as it seems. So today I'm going to tell you a little bit about how the metronome works, some strategies to get started, and hopefully by the end of this you feel a little more comfortable using it and not so intimidated. How do we get started with this? Why is the metronome important? Well, if you don't have a consistent rhythm, you're definitely going to be not able to perform a piece all the way through. You're going to be stopping and starting a lot. You're never going to play it fluidly, and that's definitely going to come across to other people who are listening and just be frustrating for yourself. You're going to feel like sort of second guessing yourself the entire time. Like, am I even doing this correctly? Am I playing this right? Eventually, you'll get pretty good at this and you'll start to sort of develop a steady tempo that you can get going. So what metronome do I use? Well, I've got this Korg KDM3. It's a digital approach. You don't have to get one that takes batteries, but this is really cool. It has a lot of control. You can adjust the volume. There's all kinds of different settings, and it's just got a nice digital interface. I also like that it has tempo markings as well, largo, larghetto, and just kind of gives you the ranges that you need. So it's super handy. So let's actually get into using the metronome, how we would approach doing that. So if you remember, with time signatures, you will have a top number that tells you how many beats there are in a measure. And then the bottom number is what you should be counting, okay? That bottom number, what you should be counting, that's the click you want. So I'm just gonna turn this thing on, and I've got it set to 60 BPM right now. This one's kind of fancy. You can even set like what the time signature is essentially, how many beats you need. Hit start. And if you hear that click that you're hearing right there, that is going to be our quarter note, right? If we're in 4/4 time, that's every beat. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. What if we were in 2/4 time? Guess what? Totally okay. 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2. Right? What if we were in 3/4? 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. Right? So you see how that kind of works? That's a really, really simple approach. I mean, if you just have quarter notes and it's a simple piece that you're playing, throw on the metronome, start it at 60 BPM, and there's your beat. Well, what if you have a piece that has a lot of eighth notes in it? That might be a little bit tricky. We're still in 4/4 time, let's say, for instance. However, most of the piece, instead of just like 1, 2, 3, 4, maybe it's like 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. We can still do that with just our steady beat. 3, 4. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. However, you're going to have to be playing multiple beats. As you could hear, there was a beat that you had to play in between, and you had to be able to do that without a click. So that's something that could be throwing you off if you're trying to start incorporating a metronome. It's not like every piece we're going to play is going to be only quarter notes or only eighth notes. Like, it's going to usually be a mix of rhythms. So you're going to have whatever that pulse is, internalized. And you just set the BPM for whatever you want. Again, I think starting at 60 is a great starting point. If it is totally throwing you off, and let's say you have a piece that is actually mostly eighth notes, we'll set it to 120. So I'm setting this thing to 120. I'm doubling it. And this way, it's going to give me a click for the eighth notes as well. So you have to be mentally aware that you're actually playing 60 BPM. You're just giving yourself an extra click to try to stay more consistent with the eighth note, if that makes sense. So here we go, literally twice as fast. You hear how I'm letting that go? 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2. One and 2 and 3 and 4 and. Yeah, so you can see, actually, I was like definitely more consistent, right? And even when I had the quarter notes and I was sort of doing my eighth notes, I mean, I wasn't doing it perfectly well just on the quarter note beat. So with the eighth note one, it's a great way of being able to lock in if you have a lot of subdivided notes. It just depends on the context. You know what I mean? It completely depends on, does this piece have a lot of quarter notes? Does it have a lot of eighth notes or 16th notes? You just have to be aware of like, what's my BPM, beats per minute. Sometimes that's going to be indicated on the top of the score. It'll say like quarter note equals, 120 or something like that. And I know it can be a little bit difficult, like getting your head around which note gets the beat, and we can subdivide, which means like we can slice and dice these notes up and like make them really fast. The time isn't changing, okay? So even if like, oh my gosh, there's a bunch of 16th notes in this piece, it's still gonna be that steady quarter note if we're in 4/4. That's just going to be happening the whole time. I was teaching these elementary school kids music theory, essentially, and one of the things I would do, I'd have like Charlie clapping just the quarter notes to kind of keep us a steady beat. He was kind of like our metronome. And then I'd have like, Susan, she would be counting the eighth notes with the clap, and then I had like Sarah, and she'd be clapping the 16th notes. So I'd have them clap all together so that they would realize that they could be clapping at the same exact time with one another. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 E and a 2 E and a 3 E and a 4 E and a. Right? So you see how they all work together? The quarter note guy was just going the whole time. Eighth notes came in, that was layered on with it, and then the 16th notes came. But what was staying the same? That beat, that pulse. We still just had 4/4 time going that entire way. We could just subdivide it. So you just have to kind of get a feeling for this, know that the beat could be subdivided any way that's possible like that. So get a metronome of any kind. Google Metronome's a great option. There are apps out there. You can get the old school metronome that pianists use all the time. You could get something like that Korg KDM3. But whichever one you do, make sure it's something that's portable, accessible, something that you can use on the fly. So when should we actually use the metronome? I would say do not actually use it when you're first looking at a piece of music. Wait until you're actually about 80% of the way done with a piece, because you're just gonna like really get down on yourself, honestly, especially at the beginning. You wanna get a little more fluid, like understand the piece a little bit. Where do my left hand fingers go? Where do my right hand fingers need to be playing? So wait until you're pretty fluid with a piece. You feel like you're ready to refine it. That is when using a metronome is gonna really help you. It's gonna clean up, close those gaps that you have, and just make sure that you're playing in a really consistent and steady way. So that's when using the metronome will be the most effective for you. So when else would we use a metronome? At the very beginning, if like you're trying to use this with pieces and it's still not working out for you, or you're still just getting lost and confused, starting with scales is a great way to start using the metronome and getting a little more comfortable with it. So for instance, here I am back on our 60 BPM, trusty 60, and I've got it going. And let's say I'm just trying to learn the C major scale, for instance. This would be a perfect case. So that could be, as you saw, I did just sort of quarter notes on the way up, and then I subdivided with eighth notes on the way back. So you could totally do that. This would be a great way to sort of first start getting used to the metronome if trying to incorporate it with the pieces you're learning is not happening. So when you're trying to refine that piece, or you're trying to get that scale up to speed, or you just want to like improve your internal rhythmic clock, trust your friend, the metronome. Again, it's going to always be honest. It's never going to lie to you. It's not going to judge you. And it's just always going to be there for you. Thanks so much, and I'll see you next time.